Welcome to the Build Your Coaching Business Around the 9 to 5 podcast. I'm your coach, Pamella Pritchard, and I help you go from employee to business owner. Whether you're creating your first client or learning how to create clients on repeat whilst holding down your day job, I'll help you make your business dreams a reality. Let's begin. Hello, welcome back to the Build Your Coaching Business Around the 9 to 5 podcast. I'm your host, Pamella Pritchard, and today I'm going to be talking about selling with email. I love selling with email. It's one of my favorite ways to create clients. I'm going to talk about it all today, how you can do it, the mindset around it, and my strategy behind it so that you too can start selling with email. It really is that simple. So I'm so happy to be back. I unfortunately ended up with suspected COVID. I haven't had any tests. I didn't have any of those swab things, but my throat is still a little bit patchy. And I'm still coughing a little bit, so I will do my best to practice my best editorial skills. I don't normally edit much in my episodes because it's just frankly too time consuming. But if I cough a lot, then I will do my best to contain it. Email, let's talk about it, because a number of my clients at the moment are implementing email and or revitalizing email. And it surprises me how many life coaches I speak to that aren't leveraging this. I want to talk about what it takes to actually create clients with email, why it's so valuable. I'm also going to address some of the struggle with when it comes to email. And I'm also going to give you some really interesting data around my business when it comes to email so that you can see how valuable it is and hopefully inspire you to implement this and get this running in your business. As you know, I am all about supporting soul-led life coaches to grow their coaching business around the 9 to 5 so that you can build a profitable full-time business. Now, before we dive into email and I sell you on email, as always, you have to create a strategy that suits you. So if you have already made a strategic decision for whatever reason that email is something that you never want to touch, that you just don't want to do it, or there is nothing about email that lights you up whatsoever, and you know that you want to put your energy and effort into creating clients in other ways, then you don't have to have email in order to achieve that, okay? But in saying that, if you are somebody who knows that you want to have email, who has an email account and it's kind of gathering dust, and or you know that you want to start but you haven't got around to it yet, then this is going to be the perfect episode to get you started and build that momentum and get you on the way to creating clients with your email list and selling with your email list. Because remember, all roads need to lead to clients. This is so important. Otherwise, if whatever you're doing in your coaching business isn't a direct contribution on the journey for your clients to find you, get to know you, build that know, like, trust factor, and ultimately work with you, then what are you doing it for? So the only reason you're ever going to have an email list in the first place is because your intention ultimately is to sell them. Otherwise, what are you doing? What is this? Why are you here? And I chuckle because sometimes we need to remember that the things we do in our business and the ways that we get busy in our business, if they ain't contributing to the ultimate client delivery or really the client sale in order to get the client delivery, then what value does it have? If you're able to grab a notebook, you're going to want to capture some of my thoughts, some of my perspectives, and some of my practical steps here. We're going to dive into it. And by the end of it, you're going to be very clear on how to sell with email, and you're going to have clarity on the steps needed. And the reason why I'm so happy to give this to you up front is my promise to you, right? I promised you that this podcast was going to be practical, implementable, and useful. This is a free resource, but I want you to treat this as if this was a paid masterclass that you paid $499 for. Deeply contemplate that. Because one of my clients recently who wanted to start an email list proceeded to then buy a course, which costs significantly more than that. And then she ended up canceling that course. because of what I show her inside my one-to-one. This is complementary to what I show my clients inside one-to-one when it comes to creating clients. But I wanted to give this to you for free because I value you having support and being able to come to me with these foundations in place. But if you're already a one-to-one client listening to this, don't feel like you're behind. Use this to add fuel to the fire so that you can run and really build that momentum with your email list. So let's dive in. I started my email list very early on in my coaching journey. For me, I knew from very early doors that it was a strategic step that I wanted to take. I knew that I wanted to have a direct line to the people who would most benefit from my support. And for me, email was a natural next step in that process. It was a no-brainer for me. And I'm going to go over some of the thoughts that I like to practice when it comes to how I think about and how I energetically approach my own email. But what I wanted to kick off with, most importantly, is a very interesting statistic for you. I actually did the math, I did the data before coming into this episode, because I want you to see the value and the revenue that I actually create from my email list. 40% of my clients came from email in the last rolling 12 months. What's important for you to know there is that it doesn't mean that if I didn't have email, I wouldn't have created those 40% of that 40% of revenue. Because it's highly possible that those people, if I didn't have email, might have found me and might have gone through nurturing with me and been able to develop that relationship, that know, like, trust factor through other means. So it's not to say without email that 40% wouldn't have existed. But given that email is a major part of my strategy, it is very important to see that 40% of my revenue comes from email. And that means that it's working. I want you to ask yourself right now, if you already have an email list where you are sending emails to your people, do you think, just off the top of your head, and I'd be interested for you to go do the numbers, if it contributes to 40% of your revenue? And if it doesn't, then buckle up, because this episode could change a lot for you. Because maybe you're going into this thinking, whoa, 40% is a lot. That's a lot of potential that I'm missing out on. You could be going into this thinking, oh my gosh, that's big. And I've been treating email like it doesn't matter. It's been gathering dust and I haven't really been expecting any kind of returns from it. Or you're using it, but you're not really having any kind of anticipation that you're really going to create clients from it. So I want you to recognize that within yourself, just even energetically right now, regardless of what the actual math is telling you. Is it actually a good business decision for you? And should it be? Okay. So I'm curious for you to just think about, do you receive my emails? If you'd like to, then you can absolutely join the email list in the, I'll pop it in the, I always forget what it's called. I'll pop it in the show notes. But I want you to be looking at some of these statistics and just using it as a benchmark of whether or not it's something that you're actually using strategically in your business. And so with this information, what are we going to do about it? I want to go over some of the typical things that I see that you're struggling with. I've already highlighted some. For some of you, you have no expectation coming from your email. You send an email, it's a checkbox exercise. You're looking at your email and you're going, yeah, okay, well, I suppose I should. Instead of actually approaching your email with real intention, with the energy of connection. Watch for that, because it's costing you clients and it's costing you money. And I want you to remember, whenever I say anything about the cost of you not creating clients, such as no clients, no money, no impact, you not being full-time, you not being profitable, you worrying about money, I also want you to consider why that matters. It matters because you deserve to be living your purpose. It matters because the things that you help your clients with, if you're not helping them, then who is? They're not getting the help that they need. I just say clients and money as a catch-all, but I want you to really recognize that whenever I am referring to that, what that really stands for is all of those people that need your help, that need help with the very thing that you went through, which probably led you to become a life coach in the first place. They're currently not getting help with. They're suffering. Your people are suffering while we don't develop the skill. So as you dive into this, remember that. Remember that's at the forefront. That's how we stay heart-led and soul-centered every step of the way. Not because of our own self-interest, but because we keep our client needs front and center. And so I want you to notice these thoughts as I list them out, because I think they're very interesting. When you approach your email and you say to yourself, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to send, I don't want to spam them, I don't want to clog up their inbox, why would they open my emails? Nobody's listening anyway. Then none of that is going to serve you. All of these thoughts are very similar to the kind of things that I hear about social media. These are the kind of thoughts that stop you from posting too. These are the kind of thoughts that stop you from getting visible. So if you're feeling that way about email and social media, I'm concerned about your visibility. I'm concerned about your reach, how many people that you're actually getting in front of, how many people are seeing that you're even available to work with, that you could be somebody that they could get help from. Now, if you don't have any worry about that, or that's secondary to the obstacle of setting up your email, of feeling overwhelmed with building an email list, with feeling like it's just too much work, with you don't know how to set up the tech side of things, because I see this a lot as well. I see you going down rabbit holes, trying to do more than is necessary. And that's why I'm sharing with you the strategy today as well, because I want you to see how simple it is to set up your email, because it's so simple. When you know how to set up your email in a way that really serves you and serves your clients, all of the other stuff falls away, which is so refreshing. I want you to think about if you ever felt overwhelmed with wanting to figure out how to do an email sequence, how to do a welcome email, how to organize a funnel, feeling like you have to set all this stuff up in the back end in order to justify just sending an email to your people. That is noise, that is busy work, that's keeping you busy. If that's getting in the way of you just sending an email once a week, then you're not ready to be implementing sequences and funnels and welcomes and welcome emails. Keep it simple. Okay, so let's start with why I prioritize email. Now, it probably is obvious. I create clients. 40% of my revenue for the last 12 months at the time of this recording has come from email, meaning that clients who are on my email list have bought from me through an email channel. As I said earlier, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have found other ways. It doesn't mean that those clients still potentially wouldn't have worked with me. But I have so much belief, I put so much strategic energy into my email, and I have done for a number of years now, that it continues to create clients for me. And I enjoy it. And what's interesting is that I decided to enjoy it first before I ever created a client from it. I decided ahead of time that email is where I wanted to be. That email was how I was going to create clients. And lo and behold, that's the result that I created. Remember, anything that we try and create in our circumstances, we first have to be, we have to become, we have to embody. So CEO embodiment tells us, one of the core pillars of what I teach inside my one-to-one program is that we embody the kind of business that we want to create. So if you're strategically deciding to create an email, or you've already made one, but now it's gathering dust, or you're using it, but you're not really energetically behind it, then you're not going to be seeing the results that are possible for you. That is key. The other reason I love email so much is because people self-select to be on my email list. Even though when people are browsing social media, they are kind of self-selecting to see it, it's a very different level of engagement. Think how passively you are on social media. Like, frankly, you can be on the toilet on social media. Most people are. You can be mindlessly scrolling. You get such a small attention span with social media. I believe it's literally less than 1 second. Literally less than 1 second attention span to capture somebody's attention with a social media post. That's crazy. Notice next time you're scrolling how quickly you move on if it doesn't immediately capture your attention. Now, technically, Email, to a degree, has a short attention span. If the subject header doesn't capture your attention, if the first few sentences don't capture your attention, you are just as quick to move on and delete. But that being said, for somebody to have your email address means that you had to actively give it to them. You had to input your information. There is just something energetically different to that than you being shown a whole bunch of stuff on a discovery feed, or you just mindlessly scrolling or stalking someone's account or just browsing somebody's account. It's very different energetically. So I go into my email with the energy of the people here, the names here, the humans here. They have all chosen to be here. They choose to be here, and that's a connection. That's a more meaningful level of engagement. Okay. Now, the next one is that because of that attention span piece, it cuts through the noise of social media, which I love. I regularly see the same post coming from my favorite coach being replicated on their social media or vice versa. And there is something about the way I receive it on email that hits different. My clients tell me this all the time. Yeah, they follow me on my social media account most of the time, but when they see my email, the email hits different. And again, I think it goes back to that attention piece. I don't know for sure, like I've never seen a study on it, but if I had to take an educated guess, and especially if I look at the way that I receive emails and think about this for how you receive emails too, and how you like to consume emails, there's something about sitting down to read an email. Maybe you do it on your laptop even, but maybe you really sit down and give it more attention than what you do with a social media post, right? I think the readability is easier. The way that you can consume it is easier versus like if you think about a reel or a TikTok, sometimes it's actually hard to read the caption these days. So the way that people consume it is more meaningful. When my clients tell me, oh my gosh, I was reading this email, especially when I'm on a consult call with a client and I say to them, why did you book this call? Why have you been interested in working with me? So often, even if they didn't directly come from email, they will mention an email that they received from me once. And so many of my existing clients continue to use my emails and consume my emails so deeply because I give so much value on my email. So that leads me on to the next point. When I write my emails, I approach it with this energy of intimacy, connection, value, and purpose, exactly like I do with the podcast. I can't honestly, hand on heart, say that I do that as deeply with social media. Social media is a little bit more kind of happy-go-lucky for me. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. I enjoy playing with trends. I enjoy sharing some having B-roll from my beautiful life. I enjoy sharing downloads. But when I sit down and write an email, oh my gosh, you know that way more heart and soul has gone into it. And I'm doing a disservice to my social media because it's pretty good. Like when you actually read the captions, the content, especially on my wall and my feed and my reels, that it goes there, right? So often I find myself repurposing content from my social media and taking it a step deeper in my email. So the level of intimacy, the level of connection, the element of really feeling that purposefulness with my email, for me, it hits different. And again, I see that in the results that I create. Now, energetically, I just want to caveat that with it isn't email that creates that. It's my thoughts about email that create that. If I wanted to, if I really wanted to, I could create the same thoughts with my social media. Maybe you're listening thinking, oh, that's interesting. This is how I feel about my social media. I don't feel that way about my email. So I want you to look at the ways that you can borrow the energetic imprint that you have with the areas that you love to show up and ask yourself, where can I turn up the dial and use this energetic imprint of connection, intimacy, purposefulness with my email as well? Remember, you lead first. This is CEO embodiment in action. The other piece that I love with email is the long form. Just like I love my podcast too, right? This is extra long form. Like I can talk to you. If you want to watch this on YouTube, you can see me. But I can really convey meaning and message in my tonality, in my volume, in my pace. When you learn how to write well, especially when you start to leverage storytelling and when you enjoy and build intimacy with the joy of writing, you can achieve the same with your email too. Now, technically, of course, you can do this with any written format. You can do that with anything on any social media platform. But I love email because it has so much more space. You can write more if you so wish, but there's also something to be said with short and punchy. I like to change it up. Remember, there's no right way. And we're going to talk about the strategy behind it in a second and how to actually write email. But I want you to recognize that there is opportunity with email that you kind of don't have with other social media platforms to really go into the meat of something, knowing that your audience, the reader, is also willing to receive it in that way as well. Because you can do long form on Facebook, for example. You can do long form on Instagram if you wanted, obviously within the limit of the caption size. But even then, the nature of the platform doesn't really set you up to be able to stay there and really consume it. Don't get me wrong, of course, there's going to be situations where you do sit there and really take your time with a caption or a Facebook post, but you will more naturally do that with email because the platform sets you up for that. And this is another reason why I love email. So much of my email ends up becoming cross-purposed into my blog. So if you are somebody with a blog already, or you're somebody who loves to write long form, or you're already on Facebook, or you really go into the caption, or you really go into your carousels, or you want to start doing this because you love writing and it's a skill of yours and it's something that you really just enjoy, then email is such a brilliant way to get your direct access to that captivated audience who have already self-selected to work to like be in your realm and to get them the meat of what you want to say every week. How amazing is that? And the final piece with email is that it is more about substance than it is about popularity. This is one of the things I personally love about it. Because you could be an influencer on Instagram and not have much substance. You could be really popular on Instagram or TikTok or any other social media platform and not really provide much value or much transformation for your client. On email, same with podcasts actually, it is all about substance. Nobody is going to take the time out of their day to actually stay on your email list, to actually read your emails. Same with podcasts as well. I could say exactly the same with podcasts. Nobody's going to take the time out of their day to listen to a whole podcast episode if it doesn't actually have substance and if it doesn't actually have value. And most importantly, for you as a life coach, because you're not an influencer, remember, you're a person of influence, very different to being an influencer. And because you're a life coach, you are all about substance, really giving substance to your clients who haven't paid you yet. Because that's really all your audience is, the people who haven't paid you yet, and some who have. So I want you to consider, could your email be that valuable that your existing paid clients still pay attention to your email? You want to consider that for any of your platforms, really. Because when you go into any of your content creation with that energetic, that is when things start to shift. Not only does it help you sell with email, sell with message, it means that your existing clients continue to get value from you. And then that's how you get renewals and how you get repeat business. And most businesses thrive when they have repeat businesses. Most business, not just life coaches, most businesses. So really do deeply contemplate that. If your marketing, if your messaging is purely geared for new clients, you are missing out on truly supporting and truly optimizing the way that you approach your existing clients. So email, I love it, if you can't tell. And I hope that this has shifted your mindset around email a little bit too. But as always, I always like to give you a really holistic view on things. It isn't that you can't achieve these exact same energetics and same results with other forms of social media. But when you have email, And of course, I haven't said the most important thing. With email, at least you get to keep your email. If anything goes down, if you end up getting shadow banned, if you end up losing your account, if you end up getting hacked and somebody takes your information and you have to shut down your social media, or you suddenly stop getting access to your social media, then what? All of those people are gone. That's why email is so important, because you get to keep email. Now, of course, technically speaking, your email provider could also shut down and then you lose your email. But there's ways around that. You can actually download the data and keep that data. And then if the service provider went down, periodically, you've got access to your emails. So that's also a really important thing to remember to do on occasion. So let's dive into now you know why. Now you're like, okay, I get it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to either revitalize it or implement it. These are the 5 steps that I want you to actually implement now. Okay. And there's a number of sub-steps here. And if you want this in written format, then yes, of course I have. I know you're thinking it. If you could just have this written down and you could have it as a step-by-step guide, that would be perfect. So I've gone and created that for you, a simple 5-step guide to sell with email, because this is going to be relevant to you, whether or not you're starting or whether or not you're revitalizing. So the 5 steps are: number 1, the energetics, everything that we have just discussed. Do not enter email if you're not actually interested in making it work. And one of the most simple ways to look at your relationship with email, to look at your energetics with email, and thereby the likelihood of you actually creating the result of clients and money with your email, I want you to look at your relationship with your own email. Do you enjoy receiving emails from your favorite coaches? Does your email list feel like an absolute shit show? Do you feel that you are subscribed to too many places at once? This is your call to action right now. After this episode, I want you to set 10 minutes aside every day for the next week. Yeah, for the next 5 days. And every time I want you to go to your email, I want you to unsubscribe from any email address that doesn't bring you substance or value, okay? Because anybody that is clogging up your mental space, whether that's an inbox, your mental space, your literal mailbox, even social media accounts you follow, then you're not going to have a good energetic relationship with it. There is absolutely no reason why your audience, why your subscribers aren't going to absolutely love receiving emails from you. But you can't expect that of someone else if you sit there receiving emails from people and you're like, oh, junk, oh, some more crap to go through, or you've got like 1,000 emails that have been left unread and never been organized. Now, if for you that feels like an exercise that is going to take way more than 10 minutes a day for the next 5 days, so any email that you get, take a view, look at it and go, do I want this? Yep, no, keep unsubscribe, clean it out so that the only emails you get next week are going to be the emails that you want, that you love to receive. But if that is too big an ask, then your second call to action is to go to Fiverr or Upwork and hire a VA to do a project. Go to your email and clean out your inbox. Job done. Your space has to be energetically clean in order for you to, in integrity, be able to reach out to people and send them an email in return. So do that exercise, but also look at the relationship that you have with your own email, and then challenge yourself on the energetics that you have about you sending emails to other people. I want you to ask yourself, do you like what you see? If you don't like the thoughts that you have, these worries about being spammy, about not knowing what to say, about the fact that nobody wants to hear from you, all of that mindset stuff, we need to tidy up ASAP. And if you don't know how, or it feels too big, then I can support you with that inside one-to-one, because yes, we do all the strategy. And yes, we can look at setting this up for you. But like I've said from the outset, there is absolutely no point if energetically you're not on board and you're not able to embody truly being connected with your people using email as a source, as a platform. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is set up and or revitalize. So if you've never set up email before, definitely DM me and ask for the PDF about email. and it's got the full setup. It's super, super simple. You just need a domain, you set up your email, you choose an email service provider, and then you need to start collecting email addresses, and then you send it to them. To revitalize an email, this is what you have to do, and listen very, very carefully, okay? This part is not rocket science. If you haven't emailed your email list in a very long time, and you're starting to feel guilty about that, and you're starting to feel awkward about showing up out of nowhere, and you're kind of getting in your head about, oh God, what do I say? Are they going to hate me? Who am I to email them when I've just ignored them for the last few months or even weeks? This is what you do, okay? It's super simple. You just write an email as if you would a friend, and you go, hey, I'm back. I've been gone a while. And I'm here now. I'm so happy to be back. This is what's been going on with me. And you keep it simple and just do a little introduction, do a little hello, and just be a human to other humans. Just say what's on your mind, literally. And you're probably thinking, like, your brain will want to complicate this. Your brain will want to say, like, yeah, but is that professional? Or I need a template. You don't, but I know what you're like, and I want to make it as simple as possible for you. In the PDF that I've created, I have outlined 5 emails that you can send to get you started, whether you're brand new or whether you're revitalizing an account. And when you read them, it's going to be so simple, but it's just going to be that permission slip to just run with it, okay? You need to email them once a week. That is my recommendation to you. Now, again, as a business coach and mentor, anytime I tell you what to do, like, for example, as I just did, email once a week, I'm only ever doing that to give you a starting point so that you can use that as a data point to feel as to whether that is actually right for you. For you, it might be every day. If emailing every day feels like, oh my gosh, I could never do that, or I definitely couldn't do that yet, but maybe once a week feels a little bit too sporadic, then why don't you try twice a week, 3 times a week? But once a week as a regular commitment is a brilliant starting point. Now, I would say, as your business coach and mentor, I wouldn't recommend any longer than weekly. I mean, come on, literally once a week. Like, can you find something to say to your people once a week? Are you a life coach or not? Like, you're coaching people. You're going to have experiences to share. You're a life coach out in the world, living in integrity with what you value and what you believe in. You're going to have life events happening to you that you can share about. So make sure that you are emailing once a week. And then lastly, you need to ensure that you are continuously adding people to your email list. And when I say you are, it means, and I know that probably sounds contradictory because on the other hand, people are also self-selecting. What that means is you have to promote your own email list. Some people will just find you, but you also need to tell people about it. So whether or not that's in person, whether that's when you're meeting people at a coffee shop, at a networking event, on Coffee Connect chats on Zoom, whether that's in Facebook groups, or whether you're connecting with people in the DMs, or whether you're actively promoting it in your other social media channels or via your podcast, if you have one. You have to actively promote your email list. And here's a thought that I love about doing that, because if, like me, you only sell one-to-one and your priority is to sell high ticket one-to-one, as it should be if you're listening to this podcast, sometimes selling your one-to-one is a big jump for your audience. Going from, oh, this is just somebody I like to follow on social media, or I like to listen to, or I like to read their blog, to, oh, I'm going to spend 5 figures on them or 4 figures on them, depending on how much your coaching is. A nice interim is building that connection, that trust, nurturing them in that way. This is a beautiful thing to invite people to do that isn't such a big step as booking a consult or paying you 3, 4, 5 figures. So you promoting your email and making your email a place that people want to come to because you love being there and because you have such a connection, That's what makes it easier for people to join. Do you see that? And if you're thinking, yes, but Pamella, but how do I do that? It doesn't mean that you have to have freebies. It doesn't mean that you have to incentivize them. Your email once per week is value enough, because if they are somebody who actually needs what you have to offer, for example, let's just say you were a career coach and you were connecting with people who were job seeking, and you wanted to work with people who wanted more than job seeking, but they wanted to really figure out their purpose and figure out their next best step in life, or they really wanted to go and start that business, or they really wanted to do something extraordinary, but they're kind of stuck in their everyday rut of life. They could be following you on social media, but they might not want to be seen to be liking your posts, especially if you're on LinkedIn. They may not want to be engaging with your kind of content. They might be reading it and going, oh, wow, that's good. But because they're not engaging, because of the way the algorithm works, they're not able to see it more. So they're not actually seeing your posts as frequently as they actually want to. So when you say to them, hey, did you know that I could be just straight up in your inbox once a week, providing you with invaluable support to help you with XYZ, then that is value enough. And if you're thinking, oh, Pamella, I'm not convinced that that is valuable enough, then that's an energetic and mindset problem, not a strategy problem. Adding more things like a PDF or a course, or feeling like you have to have a freebie or some trainings to give them. Notice when your brain wants to go there. Notice when your brain doesn't believe that your email is valuable enough. That is your number one sign that you need a one-to-one coach, because I'm here giving you the strategy. If you can see that your brain wants to fight me on this, come fight me on it in a coaching session so that I can help change your mindset on it. Because that's where you're going to actually start doing things in your business that actually create the result that you want. Okay. Especially if you've listened to this whole podcast so far, you've heard all my brilliant reasons for having an email list. You want one, but you're still not on board with it. Okay. So notice that too. Step 4, what do you say each week? Because even if you download my PDF and you will have a very clear starting point for your first 5 emails, what do you even say every week? It's so simple. It's what I described above. It's literally talking about the things that are alive in your business right now. And when I say in your business, in coaching, in your coaching topics, in the things that you care about as a life coach, in the things that your clients care about because they've come to you for life coaching. And this goes on to always be coaching. If you're not coaching anybody right now, you have to make that a priority. And if you want help with that, I have a free training on that too. It's called Get Paid. So you can drop me a message and ask for the Get Paid training, or the training on coaching clients, as in how to get coaching clients, practice clients. Then I'll send you that training. But all of this stuff links in. It is so important that you are bringing your audience the things that are relevant. You shouldn't have to be looking for inspiration from other people. You shouldn't be having to look at trending audios or going to your peers or going to your, I guess, competitors and looking to see what they're talking about. You should be so busy in your own transformation that just comes alive in you. You should be so invested in your client's transformation that is giving you juicy content ideas day in, day out. Now, if that is a major struggle for you and you want to take that deeper, then messaging mastery is perfect for you. I'm going to give you 4 prompts here, 4 prompts that I want you to really practice running with. But if you know that this is a big weakness for you, that knowing what to say, knowing how to make it relevant to your coaching offer so that you can sell coaching, then messaging mastery is definitely the place to be. Number 1 is what is important and alive in you, in your transformation. Number 2 is what is important and alive in your clients and your clients' transformation. That alone should give you content every single day, let alone once a week, okay? So run with that. But then I want you to ask, how can I help them? And just run with whatever comes up. And then lastly, I want you to ask yourself, what is the next natural step? So every time you're writing your email, ask yourself, once I've given so much substance, so much value, since I've come at this with such energy of connection, of purpose, of trust, of belonging, that when they receive my email, I'm so happy to be able to write this for them, to share this with them. I want you to then ask yourself, what is the next natural step for them to take in order to continue their transformation? And this is the key, the absolute key. And this is why I called this selling with email. I see and receive beautiful emails from people, and I see it with social media too. You share beautiful insights, beautiful nuggets of inspiration, beautiful bits of motivation, beautiful steps on what to do, but you're not giving them the next natural step to actually make a massive transformation that lasts. When you don't do that, you're not giving them the opportunity to actually make a change. You're just not. The best and most natural way for your clients to get a transformation that lasts is for them to receive the actual coaching. Ask me how I know. I know this because I have consumed the most incredible podcasts, the most incredible emails, the most incredible social media accounts where they have literally told you exactly what to do. And it was never an ounce on what actually happens when I hire them and pay them for the transformation. Why? Even though I'm really self-led, even though I am in my CEO embodiment, because there is nothing like having somebody who is outside of you to help you see your own blind spots. There is nothing like having somebody who can give you feedback, who can keep you accountable, who can cheerlead for you, who can help you do the inner healing that you cannot do yourself because you need an external pair of eyes. This is why when you add that next natural step for people to work with you and get the real transformation, which is working with you, that is when you actually start selling with email. You can't expect people to read your mind. You cannot expect people to know that you're selling something if you don't communicate that part with them. So your emails have to communicate that. Your email doesn't have to be centered around that, but it needs to be an aspect of your email. So that's exactly how to figure out what to say every single week. And then the last piece, and we're going back to the energetics because I've told you how. The how is really, really simple. The energetics of CEO embodiment is stepping into possibility, problem solving, excitement, and creativity. I'll say that again. The energetics of CEO embodiment is stepping into possibility, problem solving, excitement, and creativity. If you are coming at this from the energy of, this is too hard, I can't do this, I'm not very tech savvy, I don't know what to do, I don't know if I've got the capacity or the energy or the time or the motivation or the drive to send an email just once a week, then you're not going to sell with email. I'm not going to insult your intelligence and pretend that you can when the attitude is all wrong. I'm not going to insult your intelligence and tell you that you're going to create a profitable soul-led business where you get to go full time if you don't have the CEO embodiment in order to make this work. The truth is that rule applies to absolutely every aspect of your business, not just email. But selling with email is very much possible for you when you approach it in exactly this way, okay? I know it's possible for you. I need you to see that it's possible for yourself. And that's a choice that you get to make here and now. So the next step is drop me a DM if you want the PDF where I've broken us all down so that you can go and implement today. If you want to work with me one-to-one, I would love to connect with you. So go ahead and book your free consult. And in that free consult, pressure-free, obligation-free, we speak about what's going on in your business, where you want to go. And then if that sounds like the kind of thing I can help you with, I will tell you all about Thrive and working with me one-to-one. And then we can discuss what your questions are, if that sounds good to you. And if you want to proceed, we proceed. And if we don't, no worries at all. So thank you so much for joining me. Drop me a message. Let me know if this was useful. As always, have a beautiful rest of your day.